You'll notice as we head towards Elizabeth City, it is very swampy, wetland type terrain here. It was also a haven for runaway desert Confederate soldiers, Union soldiers, runaway former enslaved individuals who run away from the plantations up in this area. It's a great place to hide out. It's almost like the same thing occurred in the western part of the state up in the Appalachian Mountains. There are some Confederate raids or partisan activities into this region. For example, right where we're at here with this bridge that's crossing over at Coinjock in 1864, a mounted force of Confederate partisans would try to destroy the wooden bridge.
Jock is an Indian word for swamp of the blueberries.
When it comes to agricultural, especially in the years prior to the Civil War, if the land was dry enough for them to harvest and plant and harvest crops, some of the largest plantations in the state were up in this region, known for corn, wheat, tobacco. During the winter months of 63 and 64, Robert E. Lee will literally dispatch a division-sized element of troops to come down here and operate against these occupied towns by U.S. Army soldiers, thus allowing the commissary office to allow them to come out into this region with their wagons and team and harvest essentially corn and fodder and stuff for the animals and the men as well. Polk actually, as part of this gathering food operation, captures the town of Plymouth in cooperation with the Albemarle, the ironclad Albemarle.
This is Elizabeth City. Over here we have swampland.
We're not allowed, I can't take you down to the shoreline where they actually disembarked at Chantilly, but I can get us on the original road coming from. Well, Rush Hawkins is the first one to land with his brigade at Chantilly, and he is going to begin that night movement. Element lands first, and then Jesse Reno, who's coming in from New Bern with the other forces, will land next. In early April, when the Navy was coming back and forth up here to Elizabeth City, they captured a number of Confederate militia and took back to Roanoke Island. Now, it is a night movement. None of these soldiers are familiar with this area at all, and it's important to have this guide. Now, what ultimately is going to happen, Rush Hawkins, trusting this guide, is going to make a right-hand turn where he should have kept going straight. As soon as he got the opportunity, he ran into the woods and eventually reports to Confederate headquarters up at the shipyard in Norfolk. Because you're on the road that says to South Mills. And if you follow it up there, there is a bridge that crosses over the Pasquotank River just below South Mills. Rush Hawkins had orders to make sure that he secured that bridge. So lands, and they begin the march north to South Mills on the correct road past Camden Courthouse and continuing north. All of a sudden they see the dust coming in from the right flank of their column along this country road, and then all of a sudden they realize there's the national colors. Gunberry Road here is the road that Rush Hawkins took. We're on the right road. He went additional 9-10 miles in the wrong direction in the middle of the night. Present, we're going to keep going straight there. Positioned around here was a company of Confederate cavalry which had eyes on initially Rush Hawkins as he was moving on the wrong road, but more importantly, the cavalry went back up and reported to the overall commander here, Colonel Wright, commanding up at South Mills. So Colonel Wright is aware the whole time of the Federal approach towards his direction. All of Jesse Reno's forces, the Federals are about 3,000, the Confederates about 1,000. So he will rise all the way till the end of the war. He's down in Savannah defending against Sherman. He ultimately becomes a major general in the Confederate Army, and he's sent back home to Georgia, where he's part of the defenses of Savannah. And then another ditch. So essentially what Wright is doing, taking advantage of these already dug ditches that go across the road there. This road coming in from the right here is the road that Rush Hawkins came down. And it's here that Reno's boys saw a column of infantry approaching from the right, but it wasn't until they actually they saw the ability to see the national colors flying that they knew they were friendly forces. And General Reno will continue to lead the advance. There is a white two-story home that has 2 brick chimneys on either end of it. This was General Reno's headquarters as well as the U.S. Army Field Hospital during the battle. And part of the coastal division was these were lightweight 12-pound naval howitzers, and they were easy to manhandle and such. You didn't have the traditional 6-8 horse-drawn artillery limbers and chests. These were coastal artillery. It was a specialty of it, designed for amphibious operations. You see here it says reserve, it says ditch, reserve to ditch. Well, skirmishes were up here forward, and then they would fall back to that second position there. They can't find their way around the niche kind of defense that Colonel Wright has general area. But eventually the Federals will start to creep around, especially on the right flank, across on the right side of our bus, often creep around and eventually turn the Confederates out of this position here. It forces Colonel Wright to fall back, and he will move north back toward South Mills. It's a very quick, spirited engagement, but in that engagement, Colonel Reno loses 13 killed, 101 wounded, and 13 are missing for a total of 127. Now you say, well, that's not bad. It is not. Like I said, it doesn't even compare to a Shiloh or Gettysburg. But I want you to think about it, folks. You got 101 wounded soldiers. Do you think they have wagons and ambulances for 101 men that are wounded? There would be an exchange of wounded. These wounded soldiers will be taken down to Elizabeth City by the Confederate, dropped off for the U.S. Navy to come pick them up and get them back to Newbern. It will be another nighttime movement back to Chantilly, where they would get on the transport boats. This is the community of South Mills. This is the Dismal Swamp Canal in 1862. Right down here where you see that white van currently backing up, there's a couple of Civil War trail markers in there. You've got the drawbridge here. Up there by the historic Camden Courthouse, a couple of the original stone from the original lot is up there by the courthouse. Norfolk, Elizabeth City, and ultimately the Albemarle Sound. Hard to believe that this is literally the back door to Norfolk. And this canal right here had strategic significance in regards to it. Both sides either wanted to keep it open or they wanted it to close it. There's your lock right there.
There's the other lock. Obviously you gotta have 2. Pull in one and then put in, close the gate behind you and fill or empty.
Let's just say we start at South Mills at the lock and we're starting to work back towards Elizabeth City. That is the road right there that went across the Pasquotank River where the bridge was, that both Colonel Wright had Confederate cavalry defending, so nobody would come in behind the rear area. Again, folks, it's only 3,000 against 1,000. Back at General Reno's headquarters at that home, one of his surgeons and one of the Union chaplains will stay behind with the vast majority of those wounded soldiers that one that cannot be moved or they don't have transportation for.
Camden County Historic Jailhouse. Over here are the stocks. Your feet got put through there, and all you had to lean your behind on was that piece of wood. Not fun. In 1910, restored in 1986. I'll bet the